Welcome back to day 2 of Breakfast from Roth. My name is Bob Babbitt. We are brought to you by Nitro and Flapjacked. My next guest, who is a 2012 champion of Challenge Roth, was not here last year. Rachel Joyce joins us. So Rachel, as a former attorney, well, still, you're always attorney. I'm sure that these type of days you're going, gosh, this is a little better than being an attorney and sitting in an office somewhere.
Definitely. It's like a whole world away. And this isn't work. It might be my job, but it doesn't feel like work.
Doesn't feel like it, huh?
Yeah.
So growing up, I looked at the different stuff you were involved with, and we're talking, you're talking gymnastics, ice skating, swimming. You swam till you were 17. Your parents were into having you try everything?
Yeah, I think so. I'm one of 4, and they seem to spend most of their free time kind of taking us to at least try different sports. Right. And I was pretty hyperactive, and by throwing me into lots of clubs, at least I got home and I was a little more subdued.
And talk a little bit about transitioning from, you're a lawyer and you run a marathon, and next thing you know, you're a professional triathlete. Were you, as a lawyer, were you feeling like you were looking for something different? Because a lot of times people get that job and it's like, that's what they've gone through the educational process. Now I'm a lawyer. Now that's my path.
Definitely. I mean, I think, especially when you, any job that's like very full on, it's very difficult to see yourself kind of taking a step off like the treadmill that takes you up. So, but I'd been swimming, and I swam for a master's club while I was working, and I started to get fed up of the black line, and I was looking for another challenge, and I swam with a couple of guys who did Ironman, and that's kind of what really prompted my interest. And I got a bike, and they persuaded me to go on this training camp in Mallorca, and I was cycling distances that I never thought I would. But the next step was to enter to a half Ironman, and I kind of had this feeling in me that, I think I could be, if I put a bit of time into it, I could be pretty good. And I'm like an all or nothing person, so kind of my training escalated, and it was hard to balance it with my job because I was working long hours, and then I was getting up to go to the gym early and train afterwards. And there'd be every 2 months I'd have a weekend where I would just sleep till 1 o'clock in the afternoon to try and catch up with it all.
And was that hard to say, I'm going to walk away from being a lawyer? Was that tough to tell the parents, hey, you know what, I think I'm going to go do this triathlon thing?
It certainly raised a few eyebrows, and it was a very secure career, and I had a paycheck every month, and then I didn't have a paycheck for 12 months, so it was a risk. And I think at first maybe my family and friends just were like, okay, she'll get through this phase, but eventually I started to get some results, and I think they saw that I was pretty serious about it.
And what was the result where you felt, okay, I can make it here?
I think in 2008 I was very close to calling it a day with triathlon, because I'd been working 3 days a week since I won my age group at the 2006 70.3 World Championships as an age grouper. Right. And that's what kind of made me think, okay, let's take my hours down at work. But then I did nothing. I was injured. I was ill. Yeah, 07 you were injured pretty much the whole year. Yeah. So then I just wondered, I wasn't going anywhere with my career, and I wasn't going anywhere with triathlon. So I just thought, oh, maybe it's time to go back to the day job. But in actual fact, I then just quit my job entirely and decided I was going to do an Ironman that year. And I did Ironman Florida, and I think coming fifth there was like, okay, stick with it. It's worth sticking with it for a bit longer. Yeah. And then 6th at UK 70.3, and then the following year, 6th in Kona, right? Yes. In 09. That was huge. For me, that was a massive... Oh, big time. Massive result, because I didn't really expect it when I went to Kona, but I'd kind of got more. I'm very analytical, so I did Ironman Florida, and then I did 2 more Ironmans at the beginning of 2009, and every time I did a race, I was like, okay, what didn't go very well, what did go well. And I figured going into Kona 2009, I really needed to be stronger on the bike, and then hopefully I'd pull a decent run out, because my run was terrible. I was running like 3:37, 3:35, and I knew that wasn't going to cut it.
Right.
But I really focused on my cycling going into Kona 2009, and that made my cycling stronger, and it meant I finally ducked under 3:30. So.
That's cool. And so look at your progression. You go, then the following year you go 5th in Kona, and then 4th in Kona, and then 2nd this last year.
Yes.
So as you've gone up and up and up. And last year you started working with Dave Scott, 6-time Ironman world champion. Well, what have you gained from Dave? How's he helped?
He's obviously got a massive history in the sport. I knew about Dave Scott at the same time as I knew about Ironman.
Sure.
Really, he's a bit of a legend. And I'd moved to Boulder, and I had been going to his swim squads in 2012, and I really, liked his approach to training, and also being able to see him, constantly. Right. Through the week, he could monitor my training, and the training was obviously different too. And sometimes I think just a change is required. I'd been kind of doing the same kind of thing for a few years with Matt Dixon, and he was amazing. He took me from an amateur pro to being much more professional, I guess, in my approach. But I just felt like it was time for a change, and I kind of wanted to work, I thought Dave was the guy to take me to the next level.
Yeah. So what is it about this race? I mean, you won it here, and when we talk about the most important races in the sport, I think Kona would probably be number 1. This is number 2.
Oh,
What is it about this race that's so special?
It's incredible. It's just you'll have goosebumps so many times during the day because of the support that you get from right from the start on the swim. The canal is lined with people cheering, and then on the bike you go from town to town. It's probably never more than 5K, and you're just going to get like this huge lift whenever you go through, because the crowd is so enthusiastic. And like I was riding the course on Tuesday, and I was like, oh, this is where the band is playing, and this is, going. I mean, the Solarberg, which is just immense, but there are lots of other places around the course which is just as, we have the beer mile, and I think in terms of crowd support and the way the whole community kind of builds up to this in the year, it's special. And, I was disappointed not to return last year, but just as soon as I got back into town, I was like, oh, it's great to be back.
Great. So when you like you said, this Finnish stadium behind us, you came across that line first, and there's fireworks, and the crowds are gigantic, and the family the Felix and Katrin and their mom are there. Yeah. It's just, there's a different feel to it than other races. Yeah,
it feels, you feel very closely involved with,
like part of the family,
the whole of the family, and that you're kind of welcomed over the finish line, and whether you're first or you're the final finisher, you get that. You feel the same, you feel special, and I think that's pretty unique.
So when you're in Boulder, do you train with Miranda Carfrae? Do you train with some of the other gals? Because there's so many great athletes who are there.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many. I mean, I do a bit of training on my own. I swim at Dave's swim squad. Yep. So, Rinny and I haven't done many rides recently, but over the winter we got out for some rides. And then I train with Julie. I train with Justin Deere. Dave's also coaching Lauren Goss, so I've done a lot of training with her. So I kind of do bits and bobs.
Wherever you feel like going. I love that. So when I look at 2013 and leading the race, the most important race in the sport, was there a point where you start thinking, okay, I could actually win this thing?
I didn't let myself think that. I just was always thinking, just go as fast as you can, just stay focused on yourself. And it was, you know, pretty early on in the run, I saw how quickly Rinny was running. And so it was mostly getting ready, you know, staying focused on not making that dishearten me, but just keep going and going. And, you know, Ironman's always a long day. So even when I had been passed and I was second place, I was just kept plugging away. But leading the race for sure was it was a good experience. I just want to lead it right to the end.
And you want to get a few more miles. But you know, if you're the fourth person to break 9 hours in Kona, right, and the fifth fastest time in history, that's a pretty cool. I mean, you come away with that and you're going, okay, if I have the fourth person to go under 9 and fifth fastest in history, I should win the race. It's like, it's nice. These are nice parting gifts.
Yeah, these are nice, but it wasn't the icing on the cake that I was looking for. But
you were happy with it.
Oh, absolutely. I was happy with my race, and Rinny had a phenomenal race, and I felt like I can't be disappointed. I did everything I could in that race, and I'd had quite a difficult build-up, and I was pretty happy how mentally I got myself in a position to put myself in a position to try and win, and it's fire in the belly for this year.
Well, and also it's not like somebody beat you, right?
No,
you didn't lose the race.
No, I didn't clap.
She had a run, basically a course record to win the race.
Yeah.
And that's okay. You put yourself out there like that is awesome. So I look at the field here from the women's side, and Caroline Steffen won last year. Rinny is a 2-time Ironman world champion and course record holder. Rebecca Keats gone 8:39 here. Yourself, who's a champion here. So the field is, and Michelle is, and Yvonne, right?
Yeah.
So
the names go on and
on. They go on and on.
on.
I mean, the women's field is really, really strong with a number of folks who can win the race. That's nice to see.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love these big races, and I think Challenge have done a great job of putting together a really strong men's field and women's field, and yeah, it's going to be a tough day on Sunday.
Now, you know, if you're up there on Sunday, we'd love to have you back on Monday.
Oh, absolutely.
That'd be great to have you back.
Yeah,
and we'll actually have breakfast out here then. We'll have breakfast with Bob, and we'll actually have breakfast, which is always nice. Rachel Joyce has been our guest. We are brought to you by Nitro and Flapjacked. Check us out on Babbittville on YouTube. Rainer, bring us out, man.